Hey, what's up everybody? This is Steve from Harbor Marketing, and I wanted to make a quick video today on what you should be advertising for your brewery if you're looking to get into Facebook and Instagram advertising, or really any kind of online advertising. If you've watched any of my content before, you've probably heard me preach that you should always be advertising and you should always be thinking about ways that you can get your message in front of your customer. But I don't think I've dug deep enough into what you should actually have in those ads. So what kind of content should you be sharing with your audience? I think that's a really important step to cover, because if you don't have that information, then the idea of just jumping into advertising can seem really intimidating, and you can kind of get analysis paralysis, and then you never get started and nobody finds out about your brewery and you stay in the same spot. With that said, I wanted to share a couple ad categories that my team and I think about as we're putting together a marketing plan for our brewery clients. And there's a couple different categories that we try to think about, and we'll structure our ad campaigns around these categories. The categories are kind of what we show people, and then the other side of it is when we show this content to people, depending on where they're at in their customer journey. So I'm going to cover both pieces of that entire advertising strategy in this video. So I'll start with the categories first. The first category that my team and I try to think about is, of course, the beer and food. You know, that's like the main reason why people come into the brewery. So we will create a series of ads for each client. Like, let's say we're taking on a new client. We'll create a series of ads just showcasing the best menu items from their tap selection, and then also the food on their menu if they have an in-house kitchen. If not, we'll usually also feature some of the food trucks. So let's say that they have some flagship beers or they have some new releases coming out. We'll generally just create some ads that showcase some photos or videos of like a really nice looking pour of that beer. And the copy will say something along the lines of like, you know, hey, we just released this new IPA, or, you know, hey, have you came in and tried, you know, our new sour on tap? So whatever it might be, it's just going to be like a nice looking ad of a pint of beer. And that will specifically be targeted towards those craft beer lovers who just, you know, really want to try out the new beers in town. So that's pretty straightforward. Just good looking food shots, good looking beer shots, nothing crazy there. The next category that I try to think about is weekly programming. So that's going to be trivia nights, bingo nights, live music, anything that is some kind of weekly event that you have regularly in your tap room that you want to promote. We try to make sure that we get ad content out the door that includes some of that messaging. So those will typically be ads that we run in something called an event response campaign, which is a Facebook ad campaign where it delivers an ad to people and they can click that they're interested in that event. They can RSVP to that event. And the goal is to get as many RSVPs to your events as possible. So we'll create ads for different trivia nights or bingo nights or live music. And we try to just target like a 5 to 7 mile radius around your tap room and try to get as many people to RSVP to your trivia nights or your bingo nights, your live music, or whatever other weekly programming you might have in the tap room. And when you do that week over week, you're going to see those trivia nights and bingo nights and live music start to fill up. And you kind of become known as the spot in town to go to for, you know, those different events. So we have the menu items, the beer and food items, and then we have the weekly programming. The next thing that we try to promote is, and this is not for every brewery, but if you do have the space for it, private events. So private events can be a huge revenue driver for really any brewery that has the capacity to offer them. And so what we do for private event ads is we'll generally try to find photos of like a packed tap room for a private event where people are just, you know, hanging out, having a good time, maybe laughing, drinking some beer, just generally shots that make the brewery look like it's a good time to have a party in. Videos are great too. You know, if you have like maybe like an aerial shot of everybody in the tap room just kind of hanging out and having fun. You just generally want to sell the idea of your brewery as the perfect space to host a birthday party or a wedding or a retirement party or a work happy hour or whatever it might be. So that would be the third category that we try to promote is private events. And what we do for these private event campaigns is we'll drive traffic to a private event inquiry form on your website where people can go and they can fill out the form with the information about their event, and then that gets sent to you via email, and then you just have to go in and respond to them and try to book that private event. So that can be really successful. What you would do there again is set up the ad, set up the creative, encourage people to go to your website and book their private event. And this is getting a little technical, but what you would do is optimize for a lead event in your Facebook and your Meta ad account. And the goal is to get as many private event leads as possible. So through the 3 categories so far that we've covered, now you have people that are aware of your top beer and food items, who live around a 5 to 7 mile radius of your brewery. You have people who are now aware of your trivia nights and your bingo nights and your live music and other weekly programming. You have people that are booking private events regularly. And then the final piece of just, general promotional categories here is just regular content. So this could be like funny reels from your staff. This could be, just generally content around like getting to know the team behind the brewery. It could be founder content. So maybe we create a whole ad that kind of talks about the founding story and why, you as a founder started the brewery, maybe like your passion for making beer, maybe your passion to give back to the community. Maybe we'll create some ads here around what the brand stands for. So often, like we have some breweries that are very into like conservation efforts, or they do a lot of charity contributions. So we'll kind of talk about that. This is also where we'll showcase some of the people behind the bar, maybe some of the personalities of the brewers. And so the idea here, as we're promoting this content alongside some of those other ads, which have more strong call to actions to them, is this brings your brand to life. This gives your brand a little bit of personality. And that way people in the community, especially if they've been in the brewery before and they've chatted with the bartender, they've met the brewer, they've met the founders, when they see an ad that kind of showcases some of the personality behind the team, it just kind of increases the affinity that they have towards that brewery. It makes you more approachable, makes you more likable, and it just keeps you top of mind. We find that this type of content tends to get a ton of engagement when we run these alongside some of those other ads that I mentioned. So that's the overall strategy behind brewery marketing. You have top menu items, you have weekly programming, you have private events, and you have regular engaging content. And the general approach is we're running all 4 of those categories, and we're constantly cycling in new ads within any of those categories at any given point in time. So that's overall the approach that we take. Pretty simple, 4 categories, but it's a matter of keeping up with it. It's a matter of being strategic of how you structure it. Now I want to talk about how we structure it. So again, if you've watched any of my content in the past, you may have seen me talk about top of funnel versus retargeting. And so basically what we do there is we'll set up what's called a top of funnel campaign first. That top of funnel campaign, the idea there is to introduce your brand to a cold audience. Cold audience means they have never heard of you before. And the way we do that is we exclude people in our targeting that have been to your website or have engaged with you on social media. And so, we eliminate them from our targeting. And then we go out and target people who are interested in craft beer or live music or events or whatever other targeting criteria might be relevant. And we filter that by people who live within a 5 or 10 or 7 mile radius of your brewery. So what we've effectively done there is we've eliminated the people who, as far as we know from a digital standpoint, are aware that you exist, are familiar with your brewery, because they have been to your website and they have engaged with you on social media. So we are not targeting them in top of funnel. But we are targeting people who are likely to be potential customers based on what Facebook and Instagram has categorized them as, what they're interested in. So we're targeting those people with all of that content that I just mentioned. 4 ad categories, we're throwing that content out. The goal there is not to get them to click on that top of funnel ad and walk in your brewery the next day, because that's just generally not how people purchase. Most people, generally do require 5, 10, 15 touch points before they're actually ready to say, okay, I'm going to walk in the tap room now. The only goal of top of funnel is get them to click on that ad or engage with that ad, meaning like or comment or share it, and enter our retargeting funnel. So once they engage with your brand in any way, shape, or form, it's called pixel them. So we're going to be able to track that behavior, and now we can start retargeting them, meaning we can start delivering more ads to them. What that does is it allows us to give them the touch points that we need to give them to keep you top of mind and get them to the point where they're like, okay, I've been seeing this brewery's ads all over the place. I'm going to go in and check them out. So that's where retargeting comes in. Same type of content as top of funnel, generally speaking, still promoting the weekly programming, still promoting private events, still promoting top beer and food items, still promoting your best content that's engaging to people. The only difference is with retargeting, we are specifically going after people that have visited the website and have engaged with you on social media. So we're specifically targeting people that from a digital standpoint, we know that they know that you exist. That's the whole idea. So how that works is we're going to retarget them over a 30 or 60 or 90-day period. And every time they log into Facebook or Instagram, they're going to start seeing your stuff all over. They're going to start seeing trivia nights, bingo nights, new beer releases, private event spaces, content from your team. They're going to know more about the founder. They're going to know more about the bartender or the people behind the team. So they're going to really familiarize themselves with the brand. They basically have no choice because they're just going to keep seeing your content everywhere. And eventually, the way that it works is they're going to see so much of your stuff that, if they're looking for something to do on a Friday or Saturday night, it's only natural that you're going to be top of mind and they might walk in the brewery. Or if, let's say, they're picking up something at the liquor store and they see you versus another brewery on the shelf, they're like, okay, well, I've been seeing their ads everywhere. I'm going to grab this. So that's generally the way that the entire advertising strategy works. That's like a 30,000 foot view of kind of what we do and how you could approach this if you were to do this yourself. If you need help with this, don't hesitate to reach out to us at harbormarketingagency.com. Happy to walk you through this. Even if you have questions just on how to set this up yourself, we're always happy to chat, always happy to be a resource and help you through this. We're happy to chat with you. Thanks so much.